the next time you grab a $10 bottle of shampoo off a store shelf,
Yeah.
you might want to consider this.
Yeah.
The retailer might not actually care about the shampoo at all.
Huh.
They might honestly only care that the shampoo forced you to physically walk past a $40 moisturizer.
Right. It is a completely invisible ecosystem to the average shopper. Like a store shelf just looks static, right? Just a place where boxes sit.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's actually one of the most ruthless, highly curated battlegrounds in the business world. Every single item you see has survived this massive gauntlet of financial modeling.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because for this deep dive, we are looking at an insider's guide published by Retailbound.
Right.
And they're a consultancy that's been operating since 2008, helping product brands launch into massive retailers. The guide is by their founder, Johann Jacob, and our mission today is to basically deconstruct this gauntlet.
Yeah, we want to know exactly what a brand has to prove before a retail buyer finally says yes to putting them on the shelf.
Because it's not just about having a cool product, is it?
Oh, not at all. I mean, a buyer's first instinct isn't to look for a quote-unquote good product. Quality is just the baseline. The very first hurdle is essentially an identity filter.
An identity filter.
Yeah, so a buyer needs to know if a product captures a wallet that is currently, walking out of their store unspent. They need to feel a very specific gap in their assortment.
Right. I was reading that section of the source material, and it really shifts your perspective. Because it's not just about identifying a general target market.
No, not at all.
It's about whether your target market is physically walking down the specific aisle you're pitching for. Like the source mentions how a children's toothpaste obviously belongs in a family-oriented store.
Exactly.
Or a premium dog food requires placement in a pet specialty section.
Yeah.
How I'm launching a boutique $12 adaptogenic energy drink. I might have a great product.
Sure.
But pitching it to a regional discount buyer is it's a non-starter.
Because it's a complete mismatch in consumer behavior, right? Like the foot traffic in a discount store is highly price sensitive. If you put a $12 drink next to a $2 generic energy drink, it just collects dust. You have to prove to the buyer that your product fills a literal demographic gap.
So the high-end grocery buyers desperately need that $12 drink to capture the wellness trend.
Right, whereas the discount buyer just needs sheer volume.
So let's talk about capturing that wallet, because optimizing the price seems to be the immediate next hurdle.
Oh, absolutely.
I want to look at how retail buyers evaluate a price tag, because I kind of think of it as Goldilocks pricing.
Right, yeah.
Like, pricing is entirely psychological for you, the consumer. Set it too high, you hesitate to try it. Set it too low, it screams low quality.
Or worse, it completely destroys the retailer's profit margin.
Right. But for the buyer, it's strictly mathematical.
It is. Buyers evaluate a proposed price by hunting for a specific competitive price-to-value ratio. They aren't looking at your product in a vacuum,
They're comparing it.
Constantly. They're comparing your price against the dominant competitors already sitting on their shelves. They need a price point that is accessible enough to trigger a trial run, but structurally profitable enough to justify the space.
But wait, let me push back on that for a second.
Okay.
If I'm a brand new product and nobody knows my brand yet, shouldn't my strategy just be to radically undercut the dominant player?
You mean like just come in super cheap?
Yeah. Like if the market leader is $10, I come in at $7, I capture the market share, move a ton of units, and prove I can generate foot traffic.
Right, and that instinct makes total sense on a spreadsheet if you only look at unit volume. But in practice, it is a massive red flag for a retail buyer. Undercutting introduces the risk of category deflation.
Category deflation. Walk me through how that works.
Okay, so imagine a retailer currently sells 100 units of that $10 market leader every week.
Okay, so $1,000 of revenue for that spot.
Exactly. Now, if you come in at $7 and 50 of those customers switch to your cheaper brand, the retailer is still selling 100 total units.
Oh, I see where this is going.
Yeah, now they're only making $850 in revenue. You haven't grown the category at all. You have actively cannibalized it.
So by being the cheaper option, I've literally stolen $150 a week from the retailer's top line.
Yes.
Wow. I never thought of it that way. You aren't just pricing to entice the consumer. You're pricing to protect the retailer's overall category health.
Exactly. Retailers prioritize sustainable long-term margins over a quick, cheap sale. If you race to the bottom, you force category deflation, and the buyer will just reject you to protect their established revenue stream.
So you have to prove you bring incremental growth.
Yeah.
Like bringing new dollars in.
Right, rather than just shifting existing dollars to a cheaper option.
Okay, so let's say I find that perfect price point. I'm priced competitively. I'm not deflating the category. Am I safe? Because what if I'm highly profitable, but the buyer is worried my product is just a flash in the pan?
Right, so now you're running into the concept of demand expiration, which is basically how buyers calculate shelf life.
Right.
What's fascinating here is that when we hear shelf life, we immediately think of like a carton of milk going sour.
Yeah, food expiring.
But in retail strategy, shelf life applies to virtually everything, even non-perishables.
Right. The Retailbound guide highlights a stark contrast here. If you're selling a trendy tech accessory, let's say, a specialized case for the newest smartphone,
Oh, yeah.
that product has a definitive expiration date. The plastic might last 1,000 years, but consumer demand will drop to zero the second the next phone model drops.
Exactly. Compare that to what the text categorizes as durable goods,
Right.
like a standard USB cable or a basic kitchen appliance. Those have massive selling windows.
Because buyers are terrified of the ticking clock.
They are. Unsold stock isn't just neutral, it is a financial liability, and eventually it requires markdown money.
Markdown money being the cost of putting an item on clearance.
Yes. If a product stops selling, it takes up valuable space, so the retailer has to discount it to get rid of it. But retailers don't like taking losses, you know?
Naturally.
So they often build chargebacks into their vendor agreements. They will force the brand to eat the cost of that discount. A short shelf life is a direct financial threat to both parties.
So how does a smart brand fight that ticking clock in a pitch room? If I'm selling something that's trendy, how do I de-risk that investment?
Smart brands engineer longevity directly into their pitch. You don't just show the product, you highlight specific longevity features,
Like what?
like highly stable ingredients or improved packaging that extends physical shelf life. Or you present consumer data proving it has a timeless aesthetic appeal that resists passing fads.
So you're basically selling the buyer an insurance policy on their shelf space.
Precisely. You have to present a forecast that proves you can maintain sales velocity over time.
Which brings us to the core obsession of every retail buyer, which is the cold, hard math of return on investment. This is where the guide gets into the real mechanics of retail real estate.
Oh yeah, the shelf is essentially a real estate portfolio.
Right.
Every square inch of the store is rented space. The buyer acts as the landlord, and the products are the tenants. And those tenants are evaluated on a ruthless metric: return on space.
Meaning how many dollars a specific square inch generates per week.
Exactly. And they use 4 pillars to judge this.
Right. So when a buyer looks at my product, they're seeing a math equation. Obviously, the first pillar is the baseline profit margin.
Yeah, the gross profit per unit is the starting point. If they buy it for $5 and sell it for 10, that margin is critical. But margin in a vacuum is totally meaningless to a sophisticated buyer.
Because they have to pair it with the second pillar, which is stock turnover, velocity.
Right. It's not just how much money they make per unit, but how incredibly fast that item will sell and require replenishment. The interplay between margin and turnover is where buyers make their hardest decisions.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, a buyer might routinely reject a product offering a massive 60% profit margin because it only turns over once a month.
Wow.
Instead, they'll allocate that space to a product with a 15% margin that turns over 10 times a month. The annualized cash velocity of the lower margin item is vastly superior.
Okay, so I'm bringing in great cash velocity. But the third pillar from the guide details the friction costs involved in holding inventory.
Yeah, holding stock costs money. If a product is bulky, it eats up expensive backroom storage.
Right.
If it's fragile and prone to breaking during transit, that shrinkage eats into the ultimate ROI. Every physical characteristic is translated into a financial risk factor.
And then there's the fourth pillar, the opportunity cost, which honestly feels like the most brutal part of the equation.
It really is.
To go back to the real estate metaphor, it's like a bouncer at an exclusive club. If your product gets a spot on the shelf, it literally means kicking another product out.
That's a great way to put it. The shelf is a zero-sum game. A buyer's spreadsheet is constantly asking, could a different product make more money in this exact spot?
That has to force a massive balancing act for a store's overall strategy. Because you can't just fill a store with high-velocity, low-margin items.
No, you can't. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, the source contrasts the two extremes beautifully. You have high-margin luxury goods, which have terrible sales velocity.
Right, people don't buy premium espresso machines every single day.
Exactly. And on the other end, you have everyday essentials like paper towels that have razor-thin margins but fly off the shelves constantly. A retailer absolutely needs both to survive.
So a store relies on the paper towels to keep the lights on and generate daily cash flow, while the espresso machines provide the margin padding that actually drives profitability.
Yes. When pitching, a brand has to know exactly which role they're playing in that specific retailer's ecosystem. And a buyer needs a healthy mix, alongside a keen awareness of seasonality and changing consumer trends.
But let's say I fit my role perfectly. My margin is optimized, my velocity is good, my physical footprint is small. Is there still a hidden variable?
There is.
Because reading the source material, it seems like evaluating a product in isolation, even with perfect math, is kind of a rookie mistake.
It is a massive rookie mistake. Evaluating a product in isolation ignores the most powerful lever in retail.
Which is?
The ultimate deciding factor for a sophisticated buyer is how a product alters the shopping behavior of the consumer around it. We're getting into the psychology of store traffic and ecosystem.
Oh, the hero product. I was reading this part and it finally clicked for me. These are the traffic-driving products.
Yes, exactly.
Like nobody goes to a major electronics retailer on a Tuesday just to buy a pack of AA batteries or an HDMI cable. They go for the 70-inch flat-screen TV. That TV is the hero product. It's the magnet physically pulling consumers off the street and into the aisles.
And the buyer isn't just looking at the TV's individual return on space. They're analyzing its halo effect.
The halo effect, meaning does stocking this specific TV encourage upsells and cross-sells of complementary items placed nearby?
Exactly. This raises an important question for the retailer. How does a single new brand contribute to their overall need for a diversified product mix?
Because the TV might have a razor-thin margin, right? The retailer might be selling it almost at cost just to stay competitive.
No, absolutely. They do it because it forces the shopper to walk down the aisle and impulsively grab the HDMI cable, the wall mount, the sound bar.
And all of those probably have massive, like 80% profit margins.
Exactly. The hero product does the heavy lifting of customer acquisition, and the complementary products quietly subsidize the store's profitability. Buyers prefer brands that actively contribute to a cross-merchandising strategy.
Here's where it gets really interesting for anyone trying to launch a brand. When you're in that pitch room, you have to prove you aren't just selling an item.
Right.
You have to say, my product won't just sell itself. Here is the data showing how it will lift the sales of the 3 existing items sitting next to it. You have to act as an architect of their broader merchandising strategy.
It requires a profound shift in perspective. You have to stop looking at your product as the center of the universe and start viewing it as a single cog in a very complex retail machine.
So what does this all mean for the final stretch of the gauntlet? If I've nailed the target market gap, I'm priced right, I've got the cash velocity, and I'm a traffic-driving hero product.
You're still not totally safe.
I'm not guaranteed a purchase order.
No, because you can have the most brilliant merchandising strategy in the world, and buyers will still walk away if you ignore the unglamorous operational details.
Ah, the operational deal breakers.
Yes. The Retailbound guide ends with a stark warning about this. You need to have your packaging design, case packs, and exact shelf space requirements completely locked down before facing a buyer.
Because bad logistics can destroy an ROI model instantly.
Instantly. Consider the optimization of your master cartons. If your master carton requires breaking down in the back room because you ship in quantities of 24, but the physical shelf facing only holds 6 units.
Oh man, you've just created a massive labor cost for the retailer.
Exactly.
A store employee has to physically open that heavy box, stock 6 units on the shelf, and then figure out a place to hide the other 18 units in an already crowded back room.
And that inefficiency gets financially penalized in the buyer's model. They will calculate the cost of that labor and the backroom storage and subtract it from your profit margin.
That is brutal.
If your packaging creates dead air on the shelf or your supply chain is unreliable, the buyer will just pass.
Supply chain reliability is huge, right? Because if I run out of stock, it's not just a missed sale for me.
An out-of-stock item leaves an empty hole on the shelf, and an empty shelf earns $0 per square inch.
Wow.
It destroys the return on space metric. Therefore, a buyer is evaluating your manufacturing capabilities just as rigorously as your product features.
It really highlights how much invisible friction exists behind the scenes of a simple shopping trip.
Mm.
The physical product you hold in your hand is almost the least important part of getting on the shelf.
The physical product is just the cost of entry. The real product you are selling to the retailer is an efficient, risk-free stream of revenue.
Right.
And I think that leads to an important final thought for you, the listener, to take with you on your next shopping trip.
Let's hear it.
The next time you walk into a massive big box store or even your local grocery aisle, don't just look at what's sitting in front of you.
Okay.
Look at the items positioned perfectly at eye level and ask yourself, what invisible hero product at the end of the aisle actually manipulated your path to draw you into this section?
Oh, that's fascinating.
And which complementary products are quietly piggybacking on its success, strategically placed right next to your hand to maximize the store's overall ROI?
Man, once you see the matrix, you really can't unsee it. You are never going to look at the store shelf the same way again. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the hidden mechanics of retail. We will catch you on the next one.